Roaring into the Oakland airport, she brings to a triumphant finish her 2,400-mile hop from Hawaii after 18 hours in the air.
In 2024, a deep-sea exploration company surveyed the Pacific Ocean floor. The sonar images they got back made their blood run cold. If there's one woman from history whose story still has the power to captivate people, it's Amelia Earhart. She made leaps and bounds in the world of aviation, setting many records and becoming the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean by herself. However, her shocking disappearance in 1937 ignited one of the greatest mysteries of all time. Born in 1897, Amelia Earhart's early years couldn't have possibly foretold her shocking future, but there was undoubtedly something special about her. Earhart was an adventurous leader among her siblings and consistently rejected traditional gender roles. For instance, she loved playing basketball and became interested in how to fix cars. But it wasn't long before she discovered her true passion. When World War I began, Earhart made her own contributions to the cause. In Toronto, Canada, she became a Red Cross nurse's aide. It was also during this time that she began observing the goings-on at the local airfield, the men being trained as pilots for the Royal Flying Corps. But this was only the beginning. When the war came to an end, Amelia pursued her education in medicine at Columbia University, but eventually dropped out. Little did she know her life was about to change forever. In 1920, Amelia Earhart took the first step toward her incredible career in aviation. She rode in an airplane for the first time with Frank Hawks, a World War I pilot. It was an experience that stole her heart, but also sealed her tragic fate. Only a month later, Earhart began taking flying lessons, and before the year was up, she'd already purchased a yellow airplane that she called the Canary. Her future spread out before her, brimming with possibility. But in truth, the clock had already begun ticking. By 1936, she had a number of accolades under her belt. She'd gone on many solo flights and participated in flying competitions, not to mention her record-making flight across the Atlantic.
Here you see Lady Lindy, whose triumphant solo flight across the Atlantic is the admiration of the whole world.
She became a celebrity and a household name, and the media began calling her Queen of the Air. She embarked on lecture tours and even wrote a book, cementing her legacy as a feminist icon, one that continues to inspire female pilots to pursue careers in aviation. However, there was one goal she hadn't yet completed. Earhart had already achieved so much, but she wanted to go a step further, and in 1936, she began planning her most daunting expedition yet. She hoped to fly around the world.
Amelia Earhart and her crew at Oakland, California, ready for her great aerial adventure, a round-the-world flight by way of the equator, a journey no pilot has yet attempted. The machine is heavy with extra petrol, and so the takeoff is the critical moment. A long run on the ground and a slow rise into the air, and she's away.
Earhart's route was also different from other pilots who'd flown around the world. Her route would be closer to the equator, which made her distance the longest, 29,000 miles. This was a special mission, and she needed a special plane to match it. In the summer of 1937, Earhart feasted her eyes on the plane of her dreams, a Lockheed Electra 10E airplane, which she called her flying laboratory. This aircraft was supposed to safely carry her through her long journey. The Lockheed Electra 10E was a twin-engine monoplane and had been constructed with some special modifications, such as extra fuel tanks. Earhart first attempted the flight on March 17th, but sadly, something ominous happened. The expedition had only just begun when one of her takeoffs went mysteriously wrong. In Honolulu, the plane crashed before it could even get in the air. Its forward landing gear caved in and the propellers smashed into the earth, with the body of the plane sliding along the ground. Though the cause of this disaster was never pinned down, some witnesses claimed to have seen one of the tyres blow out. With a damaged plane on her hands, the disappointment must have been palpable, but Earhart wasn't about to throw in the towel. Though her plan had been foiled, she wanted to try again. While she waited for her plane to be fixed, she rounded up the funds she needed to give the mission a second shot. The second time around, Earhart switched up her original route, flying in the opposite direction from west to east. On June 1st, she and her navigator Fred Noonan took off from Miami. And, at first, everything went smoothly. For the next 4 weeks, Earhart and Noonan flew 22,000 miles. They hit stops in South America, India, Africa, and Southeast Asia. They completed the majority of the trip around the world. Success was right at their fingertips. Then, on June 29th, they landed in New Guinea. Earhart and Noonan's stop in New Guinea marked a chilling turning point in this expedition, though neither of them knew it yet. They only had 7,000 miles left to fly, and would be crossing the Pacific Ocean headed for Howland Island. On July 2nd, they began the final leg of their journey with 1,100 gallons of gasoline. They expected to be in the air for around 20 hours and planned to touch down on Howland Island by the next morning. Because this was destined to be such an arduous and risky journey, there were a number of US ships prepared with aid for Earhart. This included the Coast Guard cutter Itasca. It seemed like they were prepared for anything. As Earhart and Noonan drew closer to Howland Island, disaster struck. Earhart radioed the Itasca for help. They had a low amount of fuel and needed a bearing for the plane. That's when Itasca's radio operators made a chilling discovery. The Itasca's RDF system couldn't tune into the signal of Earhart's plane. Not only was the Itasca's crew unable to locate Earhart, but they also couldn't help her with navigation. Running out of time, Earhart tried in vain to find the ship and made a heartbreaking report over the radio. 1 half-hour fuel and no landfall. Though Earhart had tried to relay her position, no help could reach her. Then the Itasca lost all contact.
Then to a waiting world came news of disaster as the plane failed to reach tiny Howland Island in mid-Pacific. A British freighter, the Coast Guard and the Navy sped to the search. The battleship Colorado steaming out from Honolulu.
One can only imagine the nightmare Earhart likely faced if she had attempted to land her aircraft on the water. If, by chance, she executed it perfectly, then she and Noonan might have survived. However, only a perfect landing would have given them enough time to collect what they needed and deploy the life raft. In the wake of this nightmare, the Coast Guard and the US Navy jumped into action and did a thorough search of the area. But no matter how hard they looked, they found no trace of Earhart, Noonan, or the plane. Though it's generally assumed that Earhart perished after crashing into the Pacific Ocean, her disappearance sparked a number of conspiracy theories. The Nikumaroro theory suggests that when Earhart failed to locate Howland Island, she continued to fly south. One of the Phoenix Islands was Gardner Island, now called Nikumaroro, and some believe this might be where Earhart eventually crashed. Though there have been expeditions hoping to confirm whether the theory is correct, no evidence to support it has been discovered. There's also another theory that suggests Earhart and Noonan wound up in the Japanese South Seas Mandate, where they crashed their plane on the island of Saipan. Here, Japanese forces apprehended them. Shockingly enough, several of Earhart's family members believed this hypothesis. Though there is no real evidence to suggest that the Japanese capture theory is true, there have been some alleged witnesses. For instance, one Saipanese woman claimed that she saw Japanese officers execute both Earhart and Noonan. Then there's the New Britain theory. Some people believe that Earhart turned her plane around and headed for the airfield in New Britain, an island in Papua New Guinea. In 1990, a veteran came forward with a convincing claim. Donald Angwin claimed that back in 1945 he'd stumbled across a wrecked plane in the jungle southwest of Rabaul in New Britain. This could have been Earhart's plane, but searches failed to locate this supposed crash site. Perhaps the wildest and most controversial theory to come out of Amelia Earhart's disappearance was the one posited in the 1970 book Amelia Earhart Lives. Its claims led to a shocking lawsuit. Written by Joe Class and based on the research of Joseph Gervais, Amelia Earhart Lives suggested that Earhart had survived and taken on a new identity, changing her name to Irene Craigmile Bolam. Not long after the book hit the shelves, Bolam took action. She didn't take kindly to the claim that she was actually Amelia Earhart and sued for $1.5 million. She ended up settling out of court with the book's publisher. The fascination surrounding Amelia Earhart's disappearance persists even today, and as recently as 2024, a research team came forward with some jaw-dropping news. They announced on social media that they may have found Amelia Earhart's Lockheed Electra, a discovery 87 years in the making. According to these researchers, sonar imaging seemingly revealed a small aircraft on the floor of the Pacific Ocean, 16,000 feet deep. The ocean exploration company responsible for this stunning announcement was Deep Sea Vision. On January 27th, they made an Instagram post claiming they had scanned more than 5,200 square miles of ocean floor using the most advanced unmanned underwater drone, and that they may have found Earhart's plane. But other experts aren't sold on this theory. Dorothy Cochrane works as a curator for the Aeronautics Department at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, and her theory lines up with the widely held belief that Amelia Earhart crashed her plane into the ocean after running out of fuel. However, she has her doubts about Deep Sea Vision's findings. For her, a sonar image just isn't enough evidence, and she's not the only expert to feel this way. Richard Yance is a professor at the University of Tennessee who believes that Amelia Earhart died on Nikumaroro. His stance has much to do with his examination of the measurements of bones that were found on the Pacific island, bones which might have belonged to Amelia Earhart. He isn't the only expert to feel so strongly about this particular theory. Another man who upholds the Nikumaroro theory is Richard Gillespie, the founder of the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery. Richard has gone on 12 expeditions to the island, hoping to finally discover Earhart's lost Lockheed. He also doesn't believe that these new findings made by Deep Sea Vision are true. Still, the findings have roused excitement from many hopefuls, so much so that the company's founder even made a presentation at the Amelia Earhart Hangar Museum in July 2024. They had some exciting news to share. According to him, there will be another expedition to explore the supposed crash site, which will take place near the end of 2024 or in 2025. This planned second mission is especially interesting because there will also be an optical camera in use. This will be able to give more concrete answers by serving up visual confirmation. If by chance this truly is Amelia Earhart's legendary plane, the company already has a plan to raise it out of the depths of the ocean and preserve it. Amelia Earhart only lived 39 years, and yet she accomplished so much and paved the way for other women in the field of aviation. This definitely became apparent during World War II, when over 1,000 female pilots joined the Women Air Force Service Pilots, or WASP. Though Earhart's tragic end has made her the subject of fascination and speculation for decades, the talented aviator had already secured her shining legacy during her lifetime. Today there seems to be a never-ending list of articles and books about her and her extraordinary contributions, and based on these exciting new discoveries, maybe her heartbreaking mystery will one day be solved. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos.